We're here with Doug Glanville, former Cub, Philadelphia Philly, and ESPN analyst, author of The Game From Where I Stand, new book. You played in that steroid era. What was that like?
Well, I think at the time you weren't really sure exactly what was happening. You saw that statistics were sort of getting out of proportion, and guys were coming in and having these career years, and certainly part of the players, and certainly myself, I looked at the race for the record with Sosa and McGuire, and you felt like, wow, this is exciting. And I was watching batting practice also as these guys were hitting these moonshots. There was a little bit getting caught up, and then as the economics started to play into this power game, and for example, as a player like myself going to arbitration and recognizing that I was going to get compared to players in my class that were now all of a sudden these power hitters. So it really changed the landscape of the game.
You related an incident in spring training in which Larry Himes used Sammy Sosa as an example as of someone who's physically in shape, and you said that, I'm not exactly sure that's what I wanted to be in the book.
Well, no, exactly. I mean, Larry Himes was sort of trying to motivate. At one point, he'd always talk about, like, don't you want a Sammy Sosa body? That was sort of his phrase. That was his goal for his players, to be these super athletes. But certainly at the time, people said, well, we're not sure about how he got that body, but, so far no evidence has come out. But, over time, you started to see these players either break these records or have these career years after, at late in their stage and late in their career. And really started having a lot of questions.
When you were in the clubhouse, was there any talk about, okay, who's doing it and who's not doing it?
I felt it was a dirty little secret. Guys were in their cliques and their club, and maybe the guys who were on the other side were sort of not sure what was going on. And then the reasons why players maybe chose not to were across the spectrum. It wasn't always just like some moral question. Some guys had other reasons.
Barry Bonds once tapped you on the shoulder one day, and I think in batting practice during a pregame, and said, you can get a little stronger. Would you want to go on my workout program? What was, what happened there?
He always knew I was this sort of 175-pound soaking wet player. So he sort of like, sort of talked to me about his, like, well, hey, you got to get on my program, or get on this program. And, I don't think he was seriously considering I'd get his cell phone and do it, but I think he was very happy with his results, so he was sort of sharing the wealth of it.
You're 175 pounds. If you can get to 195 pounds, maybe those doubles would become home runs. Did you ever even think about doing it?
I really didn't think about it, but it was something important to me long before I entered pro ball. I mean, I just wanted to be drug-free. That was my choice, and I certainly had other options that a lot of players don't have. I had the chance to go to an Ivy League institution and get a degree in engineering, and a lot of guys are in a situation where they're 16 years old, they're free agents in the Dominican Republic, and their career is flatlining in AAA, and they decide that the guy just leapfrogged over them who took steroids. So it's a different reasoning why players make that choice. Now, certainly it affected my career in a lot of ways because the power game trumped my game of speed and defense, but at the same time, it doesn't mean I can't sort of empathize or objectively understand how players are motivated by going down this drug path. And I certainly didn't support it, but guys get into trouble. It's not just about money and wealth. There's anxiety and fear about how fungible they are and how quickly their careers turn over.
Did you feel resentment to those players who did that because they were taking money out of your pocket?
Certainly there was some level of annoyance about the whole thing, but I didn't take it too far because I always look at the other side of the coin. I mean, they pay a price. I mean, sure, you can make a little bit more money and so on, and maybe your career is a few years longer, but at the same time, like, what's the price of not knowing who you really are without this pill? I mean, I felt that was not valuable to me because it's a coping mechanism, and obviously they're dealing with a lot of things about fear of transitioning out of the game, and it was more important to me that I had an authentic career, and whatever happened, happened, and I'd move on to the next stage when it was all said and done.